You don't know what we're going to do. We don't know what we're going to do. It just happens. It's just basketball. I'm like,
Remember that statement, we will come back to it later. Now let's dive into the wild ride that was the Fever versus ACES showdown. And trust me, there's plenty to unpack in this box score analysis. From the good to the ugly, we'll break it down from the state of Pace City to how the phenomenal four and crew, the bench, performed. And yes, there's a bit of humor sprinkled in to make this bitter loss a bit more digestible. The good. Points in the paint, 40 versus 24. The Fever were bulldozing their way through the paint like it was Black Friday at a department store. With 40 points in the paint, the Fever looked like they had VIP passes to the basket, while the Aces were still waiting in line. Aaliyah Boston, 10 rebounds, and Aaliyah Smith, 6 rebounds, were grabbing boards like they were the last slices of pizza, creating second-chance opportunities left and right. Second-chance points, 13 versus 7. Speaking of second chances, Indiana turned into the ultimate rebound relationship experts, snagging 7 offensive boards and turning them into 13 points. Boston and Smith were like that friend who always gets back up after a setback, and they kept the Fever in the game with their relentless work on the glass. Kelsey Mitchell's scoring efficiency. While the rest of the squad was having an off night, Kelsey Mitchell was out there like a seasoned pro in a beginner's dance-off. She dropped 24 points, shooting 47.4% from the field and a scorching 57.1% from 3. If her jumper was a drink, it'd be an extra spicy margarita. Cool, but with a punch that leaves you buzzing. Points off turnovers, 13 versus 4. The Fever were like master pickpockets at work, stealing opportunities from the Aces and converting them into 13 points off turnovers. It was as if they were running a free clinic on how to make opponents pay for mistakes. The bad perimeter shooting, 7 of 26, 26.9%. Now let's talk about the Fever's three-point shooting. It was as cold as forgetting your jacket on a winter night. Shooting 26.9% from deep, Caitlin Clark's 1 of 10 from downtown wasn't exactly heating things up. It's like going to your favorite restaurant and finding out they're out of your go-to dish. Disappointing and a little frustrating. But let's remember, every hero has flaws and weaknesses that make them more human like us, and that's why we identify with them, right? Turnovers, 14. The Fever's 14 turnovers were the equivalent of a chef dropping half the ingredients before the meal is even served. Caitlin Clark contributed 5 of those turnovers, and it's safe to say the Aces defense treated this like a piñata at a party, just waiting for Candy, the ball, to drop. Free throw shooting, 62.5%. Free throws are supposed to be, well, free, like a bonus gift. Unfortunately, the Fever left 6 free throws unwrapped, converting just 10 of 16. Aaliyah Smith went 3 for 6 from the line, which is like getting halfway through assembling IKEA furniture and realizing you've been using the wrong screws. The ugly. Caitlin Clark's rough shooting night, 6 of 22, 27.3%. Clark was trying to lead the team, but her shooting was like Wi-Fi in a crowded coffee shop, just not connecting this night. A 1 for 10 night from beyond the arc? It was one of those moments where the shots looked good until they didn't. It was an off day for Clark. Aaliyah Boston's offensive struggles, 3 of 10, 30%. Boston had a night where the rim must have felt smaller than her college dorm room bed. Even though she was cleaning up the boards, 10 rebounds, her shooting was off. At 3 of 10 from the field, she couldn't seem to cash in on those second-chance opportunities, like ordering takeout and finding out they forgot your fries. It was a tough night for Boston, the offensive side of the ball. Bench production. Here's where it really hurt. Outside of Wheeler and Fagbenley, the bench looked like it took an extended nap during the game. Samuelson and Dantas combined for a donut, 0 points, in 14 minutes. It's like calling for backup, only for them to show up late and empty-handed. Production off minutes. In Pace City, the minutes tell the story, but it's not all doom and gloom for the Fever. With some standout performances, a few missteps, and a dash of what-the-heck moments, let's break it down. The good minutes. Lexi Hull, 30-27. Pace City's X-Factor, steady, reliable, efficient. Hull was like that coworker who quietly does all their work while everyone else is scrambling. She shot 60% from the field, grabbed 5 rebounds, and notched 9 points. No drama, no flair, just consistent, solid minutes. Her free throws, 100%. Hull was steady as a rock, though the team around her didn't quite hold up. Kelsey Mitchell, 38-14, Pace City's splash sister. If Kelsey Mitchell were a phone, she'd be the one with the battery life that lasts forever. At 38 minutes, she put in some serious work, scoring 24 points with an efficient 47.4% from the field and knocking down 4 of 7 threes. Mitchell's energy was the caffeine boost the Fever needed, but one player can't do it all, even when they're this efficient. Tammy Fagbenle, 17-29. Quiet, but effective. Fagbenle was the bench version of that unexpected text from an old friend, pleasantly surprising. In just 17 minutes, she went 3 for 3, snagged 7 rebounds, and gave the team a much-needed lift. It's like showing up to a party late but still being the life of it. If she had more minutes, who knows what else she could have added to the stat sheet. The bad minutes. Caitlin Clark, 37 minutes 55 seconds. Pace City's splash, sister and maestro, struggles. Clark was out there like she had an unlimited data plan, but the connection was shaky at best. She played nearly 38 minutes but shot just 27.3% from the field, and a rough one of 10 from beyond the arc. That's like ordering your favorite meal and having it come out cold. Her 16 points were hard fought. As for the 5 turnovers, I've already addressed Caitlin's turnovers in a previous video. A shooter who takes 30 shots and makes 15 is shooting 50%, yet the other 15 missed shots if rebounded by the opponent. How are they viewed? Something to think about, right? Aaliyah Boston, 28 minutes 6 seconds. Pace City's anchor and heat sink, strong on the boards, struggling to score. Boston's 10 rebounds were great. She was snagging boards like they were concert tickets. But her shooting? Just 30%. That's like putting in the work to make a perfect sandwich and then forgetting to add the condiments. The Fever need her finishing skills to match her rebounding prowess if they're going to compete with top teams like the ACES. Boston is a trooper. Expect her to make a strong comeback and return to her phenomenal 4 ways. Nalissa Smith, 24 minutes. Missed opportunities. Smith's 24 minutes were decent, but they could have been better. She posted 9 points and 6 rebounds, but the 3 of 6 from the free throw line? That's the basketball equivalent of dropping your phone after just putting on a new screen protector. Avoidable and frustrating. Those missed free throws hurt, especially in a tight game. The ugly minutes. Caitlin Clark's shooting woes continue. 37 minutes 55 seconds. At 1 of 10 from deep, you almost wonder if she thought the hoop was moving or was not feeling well. Her extended minutes didn't do much to heat things up, and it's clear that Clark's has to play nearly 38 minutes plus. So, the Fever will need her to find her rhythm. Katie Lou Samuelson, 10:06, empty minutes. Samuelson's 10 minutes were about as noticeable as a cameo from a C-list actor in a blockbuster movie. No points, no rebounds, no assists. If you blinked, you might have missed her altogether. In a game this close, any contribution from Samuelson could have swung things the Fever's way. But her minutes felt like a missed chapter in an otherwise gripping story. It seems as though she no longer has her cloak of confidence. Bench struggles overall. If the bench were a car, it would have stalled out halfway up the hill. Between Damiris Dantas, 4:26, Christy Wallace, 3:13, and Katie Lou Samuelson, 10:06, the Fever got a combined 17 minutes of did they even play. With 0 points from this trio, the bench's contribution was like showing up to a potluck with empty hands. Not ideal, to say the least. Key findings on the minutes breakdown. Too much pressure on Mitchell and Clark. Mitchell and Clark were out there longer than most TV series finales, and while Mitchell thrived, Clark struggled. With nearly 38 minutes each, they were asked to do too much. If Clark's going to play heavy minutes, she'll need to mix up her shot selection earlier to improve her shooting consistency. The Fever needs more plays to get Clark open. Plays that are designed around the opponent's strengths and weaknesses. Bench needs to contribute. The Fever bench was about as useful as a third wheel on a date. With 0 points from some key reserves, it's clear that the bench needs to step up. Fagbenley showed promise in limited time, but others like Samuelson and Dantas need to provide more. Otherwise, the Fever might want to dial down their minutes until they can find their groove if the Fever want to stay competitive against teams like the ACES. Balanced effort from the ACES. The ACES had a more balanced effort across their lineup, with players like Hayes, 21 minutes and 2 seconds, 12 points, and Alicia Clark, 25 minutes and 50 seconds, 14 points, providing critical minutes and 26 points combined. It's like watching a perfectly synchronized dance. Everyone knew their role and played it well. 3 reasons for the Fever's loss. Perimeter shooting woes. Let's call it what it is. When the Fever can't hit their threes, it's like showing up to a dance battle without any rhythm. Shooting 26.9% from beyond the arc, they couldn't keep up with the ACES, who were raining threes at 45.5%. The Fever need to either find their range or work on Plan B, getting more shots closer to the rim. Turnover trouble. Turnovers were like uninvited guests at the Fever's party. There were too many, and they stayed too long. Clark's 5 turnovers, coupled with 14 as a team, gave the ACES plenty of chances to turn defense into offense. Next time they need to be more like bouncers. Keep those turnovers out. Inconsistent production from key players. Boston and Clark struggled to get their offense going. And when your 2 stars are shooting a combined 9 of 32, it's tough to win. They've got to come through when it matters most, like the clutch players we know they can be. Think of it as needing both Batman and Robin on the job. Without both, Gotham's are in this scenario, Pace City is in trouble. Improvements for next time. Tighten up the perimeter defense. The ACES were too comfy from beyond the arc, hitting 45.5%. The Fever need to be more like the bouncers at an exclusive Pace City club. Nobody gets in without a challenge. Closing out on shooters like Plum and Clark has to be a priority if Indiana wants to avoid getting buried by threes. Protect the rock. Turnovers were a killer. The Fever have to treat the ball like it's the last slice of pizza at a party. Don't give it up so easily. Cutting down on mistakes will prevent easy points for the ACES and keep the game within reach. Step up the bench production. Indiana's bench, the crew, needs to clock in and get to work. It can't just be the starters carrying the load. If the Fever want to turn the tide, players like Samuelson and Dantas need to start contributing more than just warm bodies on the floor. In conclusion, the Fever's box score analysis and minutes breakdown revealed some standout performances, but it also showed areas where they need to improve. The Fever was too predictable. In the immortal words of Caitlin Clark,
You don't know what we're going to do. We don't know what we're going to do.
the Fever needs more of that. Mitchell was a star, but Clark and Boston struggled in their extended time on the floor, and turnovers made this one an uphill battle. To win the next time around, the Fever need better shooting efficiency, more bench contribution, and a less predictable offense. In short, the Fever needs all 4 of the Phenomenal 4 playing phenomenally, and the crew, the bench, handling their business in order to win and return to their post-Olympic break form. Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more WNBA breakdowns, takes, and updates. This season is heating up, and the Fever aren't done yet. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Keep ballin'.